Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Dear students, I, Dr. Shivang Patel, Associate Professor from School of Computer Science, Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, welcome you all from Chaitanya Studio of Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. In the lecture series of Python programming subject, in the previous session we have discussed the concept of indentation, how indentation is important to create a block in Python, that we have discussed in previous session. Also we have discussed some basic concept of variables as well as data types. So that we have started unit 2 from this Python programming subject. We have discussed how to create variable and how we are naming that particular variable. As you already aware, the variable is nothing but the identifier. So you must have to follow some thumb rules to give some proper name, right? Now in today's session, we are continuing with this unit, variables and data types. Here, checking the type of created variable. Now suppose you want to check the variable that is of which type. As you already aware that in previous session we have discussed, it is not required to declare any variable in Python because Python is dynamically programming language. So dynamically typed programming language, so it is not required to explicitly declare the variable type in Python programming. Now suppose whatever the variable that you are giving some value, you want to know which kind of data that resides in that particular variable, you can use the type function, that is the inbuilt function available in the Python. You can see multiple examples given on the screen. Suppose a equal to 5, that is one variable. So 5 that you already aware, that is of integer type. So if you are writing the statement print, then after type a, type is nothing but the inbuilt function in Python that will return you the which class that is for particular value that you are assigning. So that 5 that is integer, that belongs to the integer class. So here the output is class integer. Then after suppose you are entering some float value, in that case it will return the class float. Then after you are entering some string value, then it will define the class str. Then if you are defining list, then it will define the class list. Then after tuple, then dictionary, and then after boolean. So it will define the class that is bool, B-O-O-L, right? So these are all the examples of variables of different types, and if you are using the type function, it will give you particular class for particular value that you have defined. We will discuss in detail data type, each and every data type with example, so you can get more idea how the variable that can be stored as a data type. Now the concept is data type. So as you already aware, any value you want to use in your program that you are storing in the variable, and based on which kind of value that you are using in the program, accordingly the operation will be decided. Now say for example, you are having numeric value, so it may be integer value, it may be float value. So you can perform the arithmetic operation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, because the value that is of integer type or float type. Suppose your data that is of string type, right? So in that case you are using different operations like concatenation of string, or suppose you can extract some of the substring from that data, right? So merging of string, that is concatenation. Suppose you are using boolean data in your program, in that case various different logical operations that you can able to perform. So ultimately which kind of value that you are putting in your program, that you are using in your program, accordingly it will be decided that which kind of operations that can be performed, right? So for that reason it is essential to know the data type for particular data. Second thing, normally as we have already discussed, it is not mandatory to declare, or there is no concept to declare data type in the Python because it is dynamically typed programming language. But for any kind of operations that you are performing in your program or in your project or whatever the application you are going to create. For that, it is necessary to know the data type for that particular data that can be reside in that particular variable. So for data manipulation purpose, it is quite useful to know which kind of data type is there for particular data, right. So now Python is dynamically typed language that we have already discussed, that do not need to explicitly declare that particular data type as in other programming languages, right. For efficient data manipulation, it is required to know about the data types. Now Python data types are the classification or categorization of data items. So it represents the kind of operation that you are going to perform. Now one important thing that you have to note here, because everything that is object in the Python, so whenever you are talking about the data type, so as we have already discussed, the type function, inbuilt function that can be used to return that particular data resides on which class. So data type, that is nothing but class, and whatever the variables that you are defining, that is nothing but the objects or instance. So you can say that in Python programming, everything that will be considering as object, so data types are nothing but the classes and the variables are nothing but the instances, or you can say that the objects that belongs to particular class, right. Now these are the basic data types available in the Python language. So these are the very fundamental data types listed here. Suppose you want to perform operations on string type of data or text type of data, then the data type, that is str. So here the listed, that is not the actual data type, but it is the class name, right. So str is the class name that is responsible for any kind of operation, manipulation or storage of text type of data. Then after, suppose you are dealing with the numeric type of data. Numeric can be anything, it may be integer, it may be float, it may be complex, right. So anything positive values that can be also stored, negative values that can be also available with integer and float, and the complex data type, that is nothing but the combination of, you can say that the value that is natural as well as the real values, right. Then sequence type, that is list, tuple and range. Each and every data type that we are going to discuss in detail with examples, so you can get more idea. Here it is the classification. Then after mapping type, that is dictionary. Then set type, two variations are there, set and frozen set. Then boolean type, that is bool, that is the class type. Then after binary types, byte, then byte array and the memory view, and the none type. So all these are the basic types available. We will see one by one. So first we will see the text type, that is the string. So the data type, text type, that is stored as a string. So as you already aware in the concept of string in other programming language, the same concept is here. String is nothing but the collection of character, you can say that, right. So here the set or collection of characters that can be represented as a string, or you can also say that the array of bytes that can be represented Unicode characters. Now in Python there is no concept of character data type. Suppose you want to store character, then you can say logically that it is actually the string, but the length is 1. So this way you can store character also in the string type. Now the string can be created with the help of single quote, double quote or the triple quotes, right. So there are multiple alternatives by which you can create a string literals. Now the responsible class, that is str class, how you can get that class? By using the inbuilt function, that is type function, right. Now here one demonstration is given which will show you the example of string class. So here say for example one string that we have defined str, that is the variable, equal to, that is one string that we have defined with single quotation. Here you can define the string with single quotation, double quotation or triple quotation, that is also possible. Now you are printing that string with the help of print statement. So print, and then after you are passing that variable name, here it is str. So output on the right hand side you can see, whenever this statement will execute after successful compilation, so it will display the actual value of that particular str variable. Now multiple operations, multiple operations, you can say that the slicings that can be available. Here we are only just giving the overview of each and every data type, how the values can be stored, how to fetch those values, but whatever the other operations that can be performed, that we will see in detail in your next subsequent block as well as the unit, that is the data structures available in the Python. So in which we will see in the detail how you can add, how you can remove, how you can modify the data or the content within that particular data structure, right. Now here check data type, that is the comment. Now print type str. So as we have already discussed, type is the inbuilt function. So whenever you are using this type str, so it will fetch, it will return the class responsible for that particular data type. So here the data is in the string type. So here you can observe that, so it will return the class type, that is str. Now suppose you want to fetch one by one data. So as you already aware, string is a collection of characters, or you can say that it is array. So if you want to fetch individual position value, in that case it is possible with the index value. So index value normally starts with the 0. So it ends till the end of the characters, right. So here you are using print str1, so it will display E, because our 0th character or 0th position W will be there and first position E is there, so E will be printed. Then after str2, so that is the second position, so 0, 1 and 2, so L will be printed, and then after -1, here there is one advanced facility available in Python programming. If you want to traverse from the reverse side of the string, in that case it can be also possible by giving the index value in negative. Normally from left to right, positive value, it starts with 0, and if you want to traverse the any string from the reverse side, so it will start from -1. Now you have to increment with -1, so the second last character you can fetch, right. So this way, this facility that can be available in the Python if you want to traverse the string from the reverse side, right. So for that you have to put your index value in negative form. Then after, as we have discussed, the string that can be start with single quote, double quote or triple quotation. So it can be used as a delimiter. Now say for example, I would like to print any message and that message contains double quotation. So if I am using double quotation as a delimiter, then how it can be possible to print double quotation in my output? So here there is a provision. If you are using 3 quotation or 3 quotes, in that case, say for example first quote that can be used for delimiter, then the second that will be considered as the character, right, and vice versa, that can be used. Say for example first double quotation you are using as a delimiter, in that case the next single character or single quotation mark that will be considered as a character. That we will see with the demo, so you can get more idea. Say for example here one string I have defined, that is my string equal to, we have got good book to study Python, right. So this is the string literal. So string literal here denoted with double quotation. So string starts with double quotation and ends with double quotation. Now you can observe here one word, we have. So here one single quote is there. So this will be considered as character, and double quotation that will be considered as the delimiter, right. So whenever you can see the output, double quotation that cannot be printed because this will be considered as delimiter, but single quotation that will be printed here because it will be considered as a character. Another example, that is my string1, that is another variable I have defined. Here single quotation that I am using for mentioning the string, right. In the same way ends with only the single quotation. Now in between Python programming, that is one string that I am mentioning with the double quotation, right. So here double quotation will be considered as character, not the delimiter, because the string starts with a single quote, that is the delimiter, right. So you can see in the output here Python programming that will be printed here as it is with the double quotation. Why? Because here delimiter is single quotation and the double quotation that can be considered as a character, right. So this way you can use this multiple single quote, double quote in your string example. Then after, there is a concept of indexing and slicing. So as we have already discussed, if you want to use multiple operations, right, you want to fetch any character or you want to concat multiple strings in a single string, that can be also possible. So in the figure you can see one variable is declared, that is str, one value that can be given Python. Here index, that value starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is the positive index. So it will fetch the data from left to right. Now suppose you want to fetch data from the reverse side, then very last position that starts with -1, then after -2, and at the beginning whatever the count, that will be incremented by -1. So this way you can fetch the string from left to right as well as right to left in the reverse order, right. Now concatenation, that is another operation that you can perform on the string. Now we are having multiple string, so for that you can use the plus sign. As we have discussed, based on data the operation will be decided. Now suppose your data is of integer type or float type, and in that case you are using plus sign, so it will perform addition operation. But here your data is of string type and then you are using plus sign, so both the string that will be concatenated, or you can say that they both the strings that will be merged together, and then after you will get the string that is a single string, right. So the syntax will be given here, new string, that is kind of variable, multiple values that you can assign here, string 1, string 2, and in between you can use plus sign. So whenever you are using plus sign, multiple string that can be concatenated. So these operations that can be performed here. Next, that is numeric data type. So as we have already discussed, numeric data type, that is classified into integer, float or the complex. Now suppose you are using the integer data type, in that case the return type for that type function, that is int, because that integer type that resides under the class int. Now suppose you are using the float value, in that case if you are using the function type, in that case you will get the class float. Then after we have discussed complex data type, so here real part as well as imaginary part that you can also mention. For example 2 plus 3j, so 2 is the real part here and the 3j, that is the imaginary part. Here in that case if you are using the inbuilt type function, so the class type, that is the complex that you can achieve, right. Now we are concluding our session. In this session we have discussed various data types, that is integer, float, then after complex. We have also discussed the string data type, that is collection of characters, and various operations on that particular string. Here you can see on your screen that multiple classes that can be represented, right. Now in subsequent session, whatever the basic types available like sequence, set, boolean, that we will discuss in the next session. Till then, thank you.